Welcome to the SHW Offroad Daily Drop. If you're new here, the Daily Drop is a series full of applicable information, all based around vehicle-based adventure travel. And we've got a lot to say, so thanks for joining us. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. Today, we're going to talk about fluids you should carry on your trips, your off-road trips. Not a conversation had often. There are some forum posts about it, and you see it float around social media and stuff, but it's vitally important knowing what to carry in your vehicle. There are tons of tools to carry, and that's not what this video is about. Perhaps I'll do a separate video about that, and I'll bring somebody in that can talk about that. I think Wes, our owner, might have some insight on tools to bring in. But today we're going to talk about fluids, specifically fluids. What fluids to bring and why, and how to bring them on the trips that you do. So again, I'm Jake Tillman, SHW Offroad. We are the leading USA manufacturer of vehicle storage solutions, drawer systems, seat delete, stuff like that. But without further ado, let's dive right into fluids. Good general rule of thumb on what fluids to carry: you should carry anything critical to operating your vehicle. If your vehicle cannot operate without said fluid, then you should bring it. But that's not so cut and dry, because some people think that some things are needed when maybe they're not. And some people might think something is not needed, but it is. That might vary depending on your vehicle. There are people out there that'll say 10W30 can be used in almost anything, but brake lines and maybe transmission. Right, they'll put in their diffs and they'll put in the power steering and all kinds of stuff. Some people aren't as comfortable with that. So I'm going to dive into what we carry, what I've determined is necessary to carry, and what isn't. So necessary first: oil, motor oil, engine oil. That is the first thing I grab if it's not already in the truck. Usually I already have some in the truck. A common follow-up question when I tell people this, they ask how much. I'm not going to dive too much into how much. Some people will carry 5 quarts. Some people carry 1 quart. Some people carry enough to do an oil change. And maybe that depends on how much room you have in the vehicle or whatnot. I carry in my vehicle 2 quarts. Just seems like a good middle ground. Maybe I should be carrying enough to do an oil change in case, I don't know, water gets in the oil or something. But at that point, I think there are some bigger problems that I'm going to be faced with, and hopefully I'm with someone on that trip. But oil, carry it. No matter your vehicle, you should have spare oil. That probably stands true whether you're off-roading or just driving on road, commuting. But that aside, make sure you carry oil. Number 2 is diff fluid. It's really important to have diff fluid. If you don't have diff fluid, you don't have proper lubrication at your diffs, you're going to do major damage if you get off the trail without diff fluid. Diff fluid, you can lose diff fluid, from an axle seal, busting on the trail. You could have severe water intrusion that requires you to replace your diff fluid. You could have direct damage to your diff housing where your gasket sits. You could lose all your fluid that way. So there are a few ways you can lose fluid in your diffs. It's not super common, but it happens. And when it does happen, like I said, it could be catastrophic to your diff if you can get off the trail. So have lubrication for your diffs. Like I said, some people, that means they're just in a dire circumstance, they're just going to throw some engine oil in. And I think that works. I think I think it's proven that, or somebody smarter than me might be able to explain why. But in the meantime, I'm going to carry diff fluid because you don't need a ton. I try to carry enough to fill 2 diffs. You don't need a ton, and the little bottles that usually come in actually store fairly nicely, and they're relatively well sealed. So we've got oil, we've got diff fluid, tranny fluid. It's just a tough one because if you don't have tranny fluid, your vehicle won't move. It won't go into gear. It'll just spin in neutral. That's best case. Worst case is you completely, nuke your transmission because it's got no fluid in it. So I carry fluid. I don't carry a lot of fluid. The amount of fluid I carry is enough that if I notice a slice in my cooler lines, or I notice some is dripping, I can top it off. It's pretty rare to lose all your transmission fluid. But like I said, if you've got a hose that pops off a transmission fluid cooler, your pump's still going to run in your transmission. You'll lose all of your fluid, but hopefully you're moving slow enough that you'll either hear it, smell it, or see it when it's burning off. So you can turn off the engine quick enough that you can put whatever you've got in it, and that's enough to keep it in gear to get you off the trail. So I usually carry at least a quart of transmission fluid with me, especially off-roading. Lastly is brake fluid. Brake fluid is kind of a special viscosity, usually. Depends on, I guess, your vehicle, but as far as I know, all vehicles, you've got a dedicated fluid for your brakes. It's not like transmissions and transfer cases where you might be able to share, ATF fluid or something. So carry the properly rated brake fluid with you. You don't need a ton. Usually reservoirs and brake systems don't carry a ton of brake fluid, but without brake fluid, you can't stop your vehicle. So it's critical to have some. That's my short list. That's it. Those are the fluids I carry as far as, vehicle fluids. Obviously, there are other fluids like water and stuff that I do carry. Here's what I don't carry that I see a lot of people carry, and here's why I don't carry them. Power steering fluid. Depending on your vehicle, you can just run ATF, just to get by. And then you can, if you really want proper power steering fluid in it, you can exchange it once you're out of whatever situation you're in. But I carry ATF, transmission fluid, with me, and I can use that in my power steering if I need it. That being said, do your research on your power steering system. That's a big no-no. You can bust seals or harm your pump or your steering box or your rack and pinion, whatever it is you're running. Do some research on your particular make and model. Be careful where you research from, because people are divided on this, on ATF versus power steering fluid, and when you can't interchange them. So a lot of vehicle systems you can, though, just run ATF. I also don't carry coolant. If I lose coolant for some reason, radiator leak or something, I put water in it. Usually I try to carry a gallon of distilled. And the reason I bring water instead of a big jug of coolant is, I can drink water if I need to. It kind of serves dual purpose. So I don't carry coolant. Some people might disagree with me on this, but a lot of people do agree with me. A lot of people that have put serious thought into their rigs. Some people get caught up on, what is in different jugs of water, or even, I've seen people, or I've heard of people filtering water from streams and using that. And if they've lost some coolant, to top off their radiator or top off their coolant reservoir, and they run that. And people get pretty caught up on different chemicals and stuff, or nutrients or minerals that are in water that might harm your engine. But most of these vehicles that we're traveling in, if some slight minerals in the coolant cause a catastrophic failure, then there's probably something else going on. These old Toyota engines and stuff, you give them whatever, they just keep on running. So that's why I don't carry coolant either, because I'll just run a jug of water distilled if I can. It doesn't taste very good, but dual purpose. And then if I need to use water and I don't have coolant, then I just watch my temp gauge, right? I can, for the most part, you can walk a vehicle off a trail even without much in your coolant system, right? So you just have to watch your temp gauge and not that things get out of hand and start melting gaskets and stuff. So that's what I carry and what I don't carry. How I carry it right now, I carry the best jugs I can. A lot of oil jugs and stuff, they'll leak, and power steering jugs or ATF jugs, they'll leak. So try to get them in a container. I put mine in wolf packs, front runner stuff, and it's kept everything pretty clean. There's something out there. I'll show it to you. I'll jump on Google and I'll show this to you really quick. It's kind of it's a great product from a great company, but it comes with a price tag. So Blue Ridge Overland Gear, they make a cool bag for fluids. I'm gonna have to Google it because I can't navigate their site quick enough for you. But if I go Blue Ridge oil bag, there it is. It's a bag that can carry much more than oil. It carries all kinds of fluids. It's got quite a bit of capacity, and it'll contain all your fluids and keep things from getting into your carpets. Once you get oil in your carpet once, you'll never want that to happen again. So they've got like a polyester tarp lining for the inside of it, and that's what keeps all your fluids in the bag. $75, $76 for a bag to carry your fluids. A little pricey, but a lot of people say it's worth it. It's a good product. There's no doubting that. It's a great product. So that's a great way to contain fluids and spills in your vehicle. Otherwise, hard container ammo cans work well, just any sealed container. Don't trust these caps, especially if you've already opened these before. If they no longer have like the foil lining on the top and stuff. So there's my tips. Those are the fluids you should and shouldn't carry. If you disagree with me, let me know. If you agree with me, let me know. Drop a comment. Let us know what you want to hear next. I don't know what's next. I'm a little unprepared. More is this week, so more expo. So I haven't had as much time to kind of plan out what's next. But tomorrow I'll talk about something, and I'll see you then. And if you want a say in what is talked about, let us know. All right. See you next time. Bye-bye.